Welcome to Gamer's Chair, an expansion of the Gamer Grudge series, the show where you get to learn about one of your fighters from this season. I am your host, Cal the Human Cheat Code, and today I have a man with me who was featured on the Halloween episode of Gamer Grudge. He came dressed as Mick Foley, but it might have been because he has a striking resemblance to Mick Foley. So I want to introduce you guys and welcome to the Gamer's Chair. Taking a seat today is Mr. Chewbacca Defense, Scott Sadek. Hey, Scott.
Hey, how's it going, Cal? Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, anytime, man. You know, it was actually like you who kind of got us into having this show because I remember in the Halloween episode, it was you blew away the competition in the first 3 rounds, and we didn't even have you do the fourth round because you had such like good answers and you clearly won every round up till then. So we didn't even get to have you participate in the fourth round. So when we were talking about it behind the scenes, we're like, hey, we should have like a DLC show where you can things that weren't featured on the regular show we can put on that show to keep that show like confined. Just having you pitch by yourself wouldn't be cool. We'd have it on another show, and we never got around to it because Mac has been so busy with the Game Fixer Network and Tech Podcast and all that. So I'm like, you know what? I remember asking people questions at the beginning of the fights, like, "Oh, what got you into gaming?" or "What was your favorite game?" and "Or what's your favorite character?" But we stopped doing that. So I'm like, let me make a show like as an expansion to it and have questions asked to the fighters so that so people can get to know their fighters more. And I'm sure you guys are going to see you or any of the other participants later on in the seasons of Gamer Grudge because we're going to do new divisions and stuff. So the future looks bright, and we're going to have you guys back. So I like for the fans to get to know you guys too. But it was like your idea of the pitch, not having the pitch on the show to do it. So if you want to tell me a little bit about yourself and then go into your pitch that you were going to present on the Halloween episode.
Okay, yeah. Like you said, my name is Scott. I'm Chewbacca Defense on Twitter. I'm a struggling screenwriter, just trying to make it in this world. And I love playing video games, love watching movies, love going on Twitter and just discussing all that. As far as that pitch, it didn't matter that I won those first several points because I ended up losing the match at the end to Corey. But it's still the pitch I wanted to give the question was pitch a horror game with two characters from a non-horror game, right?
Right.
So the two characters I chose were Luigi and Kirby, and the game I wanted to make was Kirby's Nightmare Land. Now it would have been like a third-person Resident Evil type game or like a Silent Hill. It's really creepy. It starts off with Kirby. He just snaps. He goes crazy. He starts eating all the characters that Yoshi, Mario, Bowser, King Dedede, all of them. And the only survivor left is Luigi. And it kind of becomes a little bit of a cross between Kirby's Dreamland and Luigi's Mansion. So you have those. He still has like a vacuum gun, but it's a very different vacuum gun because it is going to be a horror game. So it's going to be a little bit stronger. It's going to have a few more weapons added to it. And he just goes around and he has to suck out each of his friends from Kirby, who has all of the friends have been eaten by Kirby, and Kirby has all of their powers now. So he's sucking them out. It's a little bit like Sonic, how at the end of every Sonic level he frees all the animals from Robotnik's grasp. So this is kind of the same way. He's freeing everybody from Kirby's grasp. And like I said, the gameplay is like Luigi's Mansion meets Silent Hill. The modified vacuum would have like a shotgun, a missile launcher, all kinds of crazy weaponry. Meanwhile, Kirby is sending ghost versions of all of your friends to go and attack you, and those are going to be the little mini bosses throughout the game. And if you defeat them, you free that friend. And they can either join you or you can swap out characters, so you can have like one or two friends join you along the way. And then there's also going to be some mini games, so I'm going to have like a little bit of a side scroller thing, like Kirby's Dreamland. So it's a side scroller platformer type game. And there's going to be obviously a creepy sewer level because it's a Mario game. You got to have the pipes, so it's going to be down in the sewers. It's going to be really creepy. It's going to be like it. And my idea was I wanted to have like a Guillermo del Toro type person come in and direct the whole thing, really give it that eerie feel, the awesome set designs. It's going to look like a more twisted version of a Mario game. but that's my basic pitch.
So that probably, I think that would clearly have won that round as well, because from, if you remember, we don't really talk about one of the pitches, but the other pitch was Corey's pitch with the it was like what, Conquer's Bad Fur Day or something, and he was like the, and Bubsy or something,
Yeah,
and like it was like
he had the Overwatch characters.
It was like an Overwatch kind of thing. Yeah. So like they'd fight each other in like a Friday the 13th style game. So, but I think yours was very well planned, thought out. Like, and I like the idea of like him sucking up all his friends, and then you had to free them one by one, and them being used against you too. So, and then they aid you as well. So that's a really cool idea. It'll be interesting to see if we actually let you fight that, because then you probably would have went away with what, 5 points, and that would be the highest total ever. I mean, we can do that because obviously it would have been 0-0 and it'd been a tie break. But like, it was a good idea to like, let you sit out one that way. And then now we had a thought for the show, so it worked out in the end. But definitely, I think I would have probably given you the point for that round. I'm sure Mac would have too, because that's very well thought out. And you even had like a director for the game and all that, so that's pretty cool. I mean, I like that idea a lot. I'm hoping,
I thought it would be a cool idea.
I'm hoping everyone who watched that episode finally gets to see this pitch now, because that's really good. It was really worth the wait. I liked it.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna start out with the questioning. What got you into gaming?
Well, my father was always kind of big into gaming when he was coming up. I've always had gaming systems. I had the Atari and everything like that. But I've always been kind of a pretty casual gamer. I would play with my brother. If I got a chance to get in there between my father and my brother playing, I'd get in there. I didn't really get into gaming until a little bit later. But, I've always had video games in my life.
So that leads me to my next question. What was your first console? So I guess you said you had the Atari, but like for yourself, what was your first own console that you had?
The first console I had was a Sega Genesis. That was the one that really got me going into gaming. Sonic, Streets of Rage, all those games, they got me really, ingrained in the gaming community. But yeah, I've always had gaming systems in my household. I just never really got into them until Genesis.
See, like I wish we fought more of these old systems, because like a lot of the people we've had on the show, some of their first systems have been like a Super Nintendo or a Genesis or even a regular Nintendo. So I mean, I know one person who was on the show, their first system was a Wii, which is kind of like really far down this line. But I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And but I would like an old episode, because as soon as you mentioned Streets of Rage, my like eyes lit up, because I love that game. Playing that in part 2, I think part 2 is a lot better because it's a little bit different. I like that your super for part 2 was like actually a super, as opposed to when you press it for part 1, a car just comes like with Adam, I guess it was, and he shoots like a rocket launcher out of the car. It wasn't like that. Just those games like that, Alter Beast, Golden Axe, those kind of games. I love those beat 'em up games. Final Fight on Super Nintendo. I miss that kind of gaming, and like we don't really have that anymore. It's too fancy now, right? You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah, we don't get those types of just like side scroller beat 'em ups. Like every once in a while you see like an indie game that'll have that,
right.
But it was every other game back in the day.
And those games that you're saying, like an indie game, they're featured on like the PlayStation Store or Xbox Store, not like as a real standalone game that you buy by itself. It's like like a $5 game that you buy in the store, so it's not like an official game, but they're still fun nonetheless.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of gives me an idea of like maybe in the future of a Game and Grudge episode, we do like something called No If, Ands, or Bits, and do an old 8-bit, 16-bit kind of episode.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. So
that would definitely be cool. Yeah, I'd like to be involved in that. That would be cool.
It would be fun if we did, because I know we're talking about like doing like a certain tag team division and stuff like that. But like maybe have one fighter be like old school fighter and one to be a new school fighter, and then like have them on per team, and then have them fight. Because like your answer would be like something like Streets of Rage, where somebody who now would say like, oh, Gears of War or something. You know what I mean? Like kind of like that. Like that'd be kind of funny to see. Or you could have like 3 fighters on one side of like old school versus 3 fighters new school, and like do a time hop kind of fight. I don't know. I'm just thinking like, but that's pretty cool, because as soon as you said Streets of Rage, like I thought of my old school days of playing video games, and those games are great.
Yeah, I miss the old school games. I still play them every once in a while. I got like emulators on my computer. I still play like all the old games.
Yeah, I should start doing that, because I know you can do that on your iPhone and stuff too now, and all your iPads. So that's pretty cool. And these are going into good segues, because that brings me to what's your fondest gaming memory?
Oh, my fondest gaming memory. This one, you remember LAN parties?
Yeah.
Where you hook everything up by wire cables. So we had this epic Halo 1 LAN party. We had 4 TVs in 4 different rooms. We had people alternating different teams, and we would like talking through walkie-talkies because none of us had headsets, or we'd be yelling throughout the house. And it was just like one of the craziest gaming experiences I've ever had, because it was chaos, but it was controlled, and it was amazing. And Halo, yeah, I would play Halo with my friends all the time back in the day. Halo 1 and Halo 2. They're like two of the only first-person shooters I ever really got into. So just having a community of people that, we all just hung out and played video games, it was awesome. And it was really one of my like first online experiences, even though, we're all in the same house, but we're all connected in different rooms. It was pretty cool.
That was the same thing for me too, like playing a Halo party, but I only had 2 TVs. Like you had the pleasure of doing 4 TVs. That's all. I can only imagine, but like we had 4-on-4 Halo. That was pretty cool. Yeah, those were fun times, man. Back when like people don't know the struggle when we couldn't even play online. Like now it's so streamlined and everything, just people jumping in and out of matches from all around the world. But back in the day, we had to be in the same room, same house or same area. Unless you were like in a college campus where you had like you can do LAN parties through like your internet if they allowed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had to be in the same room, plugging into the same like box, or plugging straight to the one Xbox to the other. Or if you had the box in the middle, like you put all 4 into it, the router or whatever you want to call it. Those are awesome, man.
Yeah, it was just crazy. There were cables running through the house, up the stairs. It was awesome. It was just a wild night.
God forbid, like any of your family walks by and they trip on one of those cables and pull it out, and everyone's like, "No, there goes our game!" Like
that's it. Yeah, there's no Wi-Fi keeping you running. That's the end of the game.
Yeah, but I would prefer hardwire anyway, especially for the lags, lagging in. And, back then, like none of those systems had the Wi-Fi built into their system, so you'd have to go with hardwire.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is gonna bring us to a rapid fire segment, and then we'll go back to the last 3 questions. So just give me what answer comes to your head out of these 2 choices. So here we go. Ready for the rapid fire?
Yep.
Okay. Question 1: console or PC?
Console.
Nintendo or Sega?
Sega.
Sony or Microsoft?
Sony.
Role-playing game or adventure?
Adventure.
Just Cause or Assassin's Creed?
Just Cause.
Nico Bellic or Franklin?
Franklin. Yeah.
2D platform or 3D world?
3D world.
Uncharted or Tomb Raider?
Uncharted.
Mario or Sonic?
Sonic.
Skyrim or World of Warcraft?
Skyrim.
You are the first person to go through without having any struggle. There's some people like, oh God, like, well, everyone who's already been on the show has been like, oh man, that's a tough one. Gotta stop in it. You just boom, blast it. And you didn't have any of these questions ahead of time, so
no. I'm very set in my ways. I know what I like.
Or I just couldn't stump you well enough. I don't know. Like it was hard because like a lot of your games are in the same genre. I mean, or like you didn't have like 2 of the same genre, I should say. Like I didn't have 2 to put against each other in a way, where for other people I kind of did. But some of them I'd like I didn't know certain people played. Like I think when I asked Megan about Skyrim or Fallout, I didn't know she played Fallout, so I thought she'd easily pick Skyrim. But I think she took a second to answer that. So, but you went straight through it, so I applaud you. Good job. Like
thank you.
You can get stumbled. All right, so that brings us to question 4. What is your best gaming accomplishment?
Best gaming accomplishment. I was gonna say originally 100%ing Spider-Man 2, the movie game, but it's probably beating Sonic 2 for the first time. Because for years, I would go through Sonic 2, and I always get stopped at that last level. I would never be able to beat that last level. And one day, I think I was like 12 or 13, I was finally able to beat it. And I like threw my controller on the ground. I was jumping around. I was excited. It's one of my like biggest accomplishments in gaming.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever beaten that game fairly. I've done the code where you debug, so you can like turn yourself into rings and then make the rings. But then I also put in the supersonic code so that when you get to like 50 coins and then you jump up in the air, it becomes supersonic, so you can just run through everything and have no problem. So that's the only way I've beaten that game.
Dude, it's tough. It took me like 12 years, no joke.
Yeah, I wonder, like, some of these games, if you go back to now, I wonder if we could actually beat them. Because, a lot of those Nintendo games are really hard because they only have, like, 3 lives, no continues, level select codes, stuff like that. Like, it's not like saving every 5 minutes like I do in Skyrim now. It's not like that. So, a lot of those games back then were so much harder.
Dude, those old Sonic games, the Mega Man games, they were tough. Like, even today, they're still tough to beat.
I wonder if kids these days could beat them now. Like, I wonder. That's what they should have a show of, like, kids playing old school games. Not just not to see what the graphics like, because I know they have those reaction videos of people seeing like Mario for the first time, but actually have them play it and see if they could get through these games. They're hard back in the day.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody beat Mario 3 without all the flutes and everything.
Yeah. And that makes me think too, like before, like we're talking about like kids now against kids back then. We didn't have social media or internet and stuff to tell us like cheat codes or anything like that. Like we didn't get like we used to have to get those magazines. Remember like the Nintendo Powers or
Yes,
like, those like Game Informer magazines or whatever, and that would tell. They would have like a little section in the back for like cheat codes for certain games. And like for the longest time, I didn't know because you brought up Sonic 2 that you could use Tails. A second player can plug in and use Tails. And I'm pretty sure it probably said on the box 1 to 2 players or something. But like I didn't know that. And then when I found that out, my friend like lifted me up as Sonic. I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like Game Shark and all that type of stuff. Like everything's so readily available now. Kids don't know. They don't understand.
Yeah, I know. Like the struggle that we had. But I think that's what made it more fun, learning ourselves, like learning all this stuff. I remember like printing out like long sheets for like Zelda, like for the maps. Like people actually made a map, and I printed it out and stuff. Like that was pretty cool.
And now they give you a map.
Yeah, you just press the button, the map's there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically Zelda kind of had a map on the screen, but it wasn't the same as having like how in depth it is now. Where you can zoom in and mark a location to go to and fast travel.
You create a path for yourself. Yeah.
So what future releases are you looking forward to?
Oh man, there's a lot. I was looking at like all the games that are coming up, and I was like, oh man, that game is going to be awesome. I'm going to be spending so much money on games in the future. Like God of War is one that I'm really looking forward to. I've always loved the God of War series. The new Red Dead, obviously, Red Dead Redemption was such a great game. It's one of the greatest games of the last generation. The Last of Us 2, even though I didn't actually beat Last of Us 1, I just remember really enjoying what I've gotten through so far. And Shenmue 3, that's probably like my peak. That's the one that I'm really looking forward to. I loved the old Shenmue games. I played Shenmue 2 for I don't even know how many hours. I probably spent more time playing that game than Skyrim.
I'm glad I found someone else who likes Shenmue because I was a huge Shenmue fan back. I love Dreamcast because it had Shenmue, right? That was first Shenmue 1, and that was like the four disc box that you had. Or whatever it was. Then Shenmue 2 came out for what is it, Xbox One, I think it was?
Yeah, the original Xbox.
Yeah, and I shouldn't say Xbox One because now it's called Xbox One.
Exactly,
the original Xbox. And that was cool because it had the movie. That had 2 discs. It was a 2 disc thing, right? Because one was the game, and then one was the movie that had all the cutscenes from Shenmue 1, so you could see what happened. So Shenmue 3 is gonna be pretty fun to like. This took forever, man. This is like probably the longest spanning game in the history of mankind for a trilogy, but it's a great game. I loved it.
People would get like, so I remember hearing people get frustrated, like you had to work on the docks in Shenmue 2. I was like, that's part of the charm of it. Like it's a very immersive game. Like you can go around, you can play like Plinko or whatever it was.
Yeah, driving the forklifts and stuff. Yeah, and then you should like buy like music. Like you can buy music from every like and play the music in the sound. I don't know, there's something where like you had little things you can go everywhere and buy different ones, and then you can use them like in your house or wherever it was. I forgot what it was, but it was something like that.
Yeah, I think you could buy music. You can buy music. You could also play like older Sega games. They would have like little Sega games in there.
They had like Virtua Fighter, right? Didn't they have like Virtua Fighter? One of them.
Yeah, the original Virtua Fighter. You go into an actual arcade in the Shenmue game, and you play in one of the arcade boxes. It was great.
Yeah, because you could buy a copy of it at the video game. They're like a video game store or like some store where you can buy old video games and bring them to your house and play it on your like Dreamcast or whatever it was, or Saturn, I think it was, or something like that.
I think it was the old Saturn. I used to have a Saturn. That's what I was like the only person I knew who had a Sega Saturn.
Yeah, one of my friends actually has like a lot of old systems. He buys like them all from like he goes to the store, like the video game store or classic stores, and then he has like Saturn, Jaguar, 3DO, like Neo Geo, TurboGrafx. He has like every single one. It's crazy. He spends like ridiculous amounts of money on them too.
Oh, I've got a buddy like that too. He's got like bookcases full of video games, just older video games, some that he's never even played.
This guy was my friend. He was devastated because he originally had all these systems. Then I guess his mom threw them away or something. So he had to spend like hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to buy single games like Panzer Dragoon and stuff like that, just to get those games to play.
Oh man, I see my friend's collection and I always just think like, how much money have you spent on this? Like, how much could you have like put towards college, whatever? But yeah, it's just some people just get really into these games. They just want to collect them all.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much like we spend. Like, I wonder like we know the gaming industry is $1 billion industry, but how much we spend each year on our lives, or just one person individually in their entire lifetime? That'd be cool to find out.
Yeah, right. It would also be a little bit depressing, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. Like, I could have bought like a new car or a house or something. Who knows what it is?
I spent $6,000 in gaming this year.
I know. I thank God for like new like Amazon Prime that does like the 20% off pre-orders now, and Best Buy does it as well. So that's pretty cool that we're saving on games.
Yeah, it's true.
So what do you see as the future of gaming? Where do you think gaming is going now?
Well, we touched on it a little bit before with indie gaming. I think indie gaming is going to be a lot bigger. I think we're going to get a lot more high quality indie games because there's a lot more like development systems that are available for people to use. Like the Unreal Engine, I think, is out there now for like just anybody to use. So with that available to people, who knows what they can do. On top of that, I think there's going to be a lot more VR. It seems like people are leaning a lot more into the VR. Like they're releasing the Skyrim virtual reality, which looks kind of cool, but at the same time, I don't know how much I'd want to get into that. I don't think the virtual reality is something that I'm a huge fan of. I do see it becoming bigger, but I don't know how much I'm going to get into it.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone seems to be going with the virtual reality answer, but I'm glad you brought up indie gaming too, because like some of these games have become really big for like in the indie world. Just trying to think of some off the top of my head, but I can't. Like I guess like wasn't like Journey one of them? I think Journey was like an
Journey,
yeah, and that was like one game of the year. I think 1 year on like IGN or something. So a lot of these
was great. Yeah, great experience. Huge, not like a huge game, very simple game, but like very immersive. Everybody loved it who played it.
And there's a lot of those like games that go free like for a month on games with gold for Xbox and PS Plus with PlayStation that are fun. They're just like indie games. They're awesome to play. They're so fun. And I love all those types of games. And I'm glad you had a different answer from virtual reality. I do have a VR system. I love it. It's fun. I haven't played as much because like it's just a lot. Like sometimes you get nauseous after playing for a while, especially games where you're moving really fast and looking around. But it's still fun, and I want to see where it goes from there. Like I'd be interested to see like if they're gonna have a moving aspect where you actually gotta stand up. And like I was talking to I think TJ about it, where they have those treadmills that you stand on, so you're actually walking in place, but you're walking in the world. So.
Right now, I feel the same way about VR that I do about like 3D movies. Like until they really perfect it, I don't really have too much interest in it. Plus, like I wear glasses, so like it gets in the way. I feel like a little bit. So once they can figure out a way to work around the glasses and to really perfect the technology, then maybe I'll start giving it a shot.
Well, I know I had my mom try my VR because I have one like where you simulate a dive underwater, so you can look around at all the fish and stuff. She wears glasses, so does my dad sometimes. So they were able to do it. Like the PlayStation like accommodates for the space for your glass because you can move the thing forward and back, and it gives you the space for your glasses. So it kind of works out. So you should try to give it a try. Maybe they have it at the GameStop or something where you can see it in action and all that.
Yeah, I might do that actually.
But
I didn't realize they had that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I wonder how the Rift works, though. I'm not sure how the Rift works. I want to get a Rift because I was like offered to be one of the first people to use it, but apparently like they made you download a software and they saw if your computer is good enough for it. And like I'm not really a PC gamer at all, so I looked at it and like my computer was nowhere near being good enough. Like the graphics card wasn't good enough to play on the Rift, so I didn't get a Rift. But I don't know. If I was a PC gamer, I think a Rift would be cool. They have really cool things. That new Jedi thing for Christmas that they're having. I forgot what company's releasing it, but you could put the VR goggles on. It's a standalone system kind of thing, and you could fight like Darth Maul and Kylo Ren and all that, and Vader with that the lightsaber they give you as a controller. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, stuff like that does like definitely appeal to me. Like my inner child, like I just want to be a Jedi fighting. But yeah, it's I've heard about people getting nauseous, like you said before, and like that stuff kind of like keeps me on my toes, but I'm definitely going to try it at some point. It's going to happen.
I would say they should add a power glove to that as well. So that way, a power glove that's functional, because that way you can use force push and force lightning, and depending on how you put your hand, that would be really cool too. So that's an idea. Watch that be used now, and they should give you some credit for it. I'm sure people have thought about this in the past already, but I'm just saying, spitballing ideas here.
Dude, that would be awesome. Power glove. I'd love it.
Oh yeah, like because one power glove, I'm sure like when it first came out, like it was not good. Like the commercial made it seem so cool, but it's just a controller on your hand.
And that Fred Savage movie, The Wizard, or whatever it was.
Yeah. That's funny because TJ and I mentioned that too. So it's like, funny like how the gaming eras work for certain, because like Megan had no idea what that was. I don't think so. Like,
oh no,
in our era, then we have her era and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Like I like to see different spanning, and I think a future guest is gonna be Corey, who started games earlier as well too. So we'll see how that goes with his. Maybe his first game will be Atari or something. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to thank you for being here today. Where can we find you, and what have you been up to and stuff like that?
You can find me at Chewbacca Defense on Twitter. Right now, I'm working on a couple different short films. I'm getting filming one in a few months. It's about cannibals. It should be weird, but yeah. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter. Hit me up, talk to me about games, movies, whatever.
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at VeronJDejaVu and doing various shows. I'm not gonna plug them all because who knows when you're gonna be watching this. But if you are watching this prior to Monday, the Gamer Grudge Championship is this Monday, featuring the host Mac against Kim Hanley and Tom Bennett of Odd Shape Channel. It's gonna be really fun. I'm hosting. Fight. Yeah, I'm hosting and I'm judging, and I hate judging, but here it goes. Like, they had to have someone to do it, so I took it up, and I'll probably be doing another gamer share with the champion probably first. Don't forget, TJ will also be there to fact check. And if you remember, TJ won the source code, so he has the right to challenge the champion anytime. So it could happen right there. We don't know. We'll see.
That would be great.
Or he might let them sit for a while and bask in the championship. Who knows? We'll see. But you could check out all the episodes of Gamer's Chair, and then look for the future episodes of Gamer's Chair and the championship of Gamer Grudge on Monday. I want to thank Scott again, Chewbacca Defense, for being on the show, taking a seat in the Gamer's Chair, and hearing his awesome pitch, because I know he probably would have went 5-0 through it. So it was awesome. Until next time, guys, keep gaming. Later.